my life. It saved my daughter's life. It saved our family.
Talk 1470 is WWNN Pompano Beach and 95.3 FM W237BD Boca Raton. The Health and Wealth Radio Network, 1470 AM and 95.3 FM. The Health and Wealth Radio Network. Don't miss the Save a Lot Nutrition Hour with Al Foreman and Janet Cimarelli. WNN. Now you can get Talk 1470 WNN on 95.3 FM too. Loud and clear. Health and Wealth Radio, WNN.
The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
In the words of Katharine Hepburn, if you obey all the rules, you'll miss all the fun.
We couldn't agree more.
I'm Karen Hansen.
And I'm Laura Rockland. Welcome to Wren and Roch. We'll entertain, inspire, and empower you to be yourself, love yourself, and trust yourself to take chances.
After all, if you only get one life, you might as well make it a great one. Hi, welcome to Wren and Roch. I'm Karen Hansen.
And I'm Laura Rockland. The mission of our brand, Wren and Roch, is to empower victims and survivors of rape, domestic violence, and childhood sexual assault. Why? Because we are survivors and we are empowered.
Yes, and tonight, our show, the subject matter is sex. Maybe not in the way that you think, though. We are going to be talking about consensual sex, what that means, the definition of that. We're going to talk about sexual assault and prevention. Don't freak out. This is really important information because, as you all know, we're talking about back to school. Everyone's going back to school this week and next
Especially
week.
college students.
College campuses
for you
specifically.
Guys.
We are going to talk about bystander intervention, what that means. And sadly, we are going to talk about a phone call that we got on Monday morning from a college student we know personally who was a victim of rape over the weekend. So we'll be talking a little bit about that as well.
So for those of you that are listening, we would love for you to call in. You can reach us at 888-565-1470. Please call in with questions and comments, or you can go in through our Facebook live stream and we will take your questions from the TV monitor. If you want to say hi, just send us an email at the end. But that's how you can find us. So please call in 888-565-1470.
Yes, we'd be very happy to answer questions.
And you can also listen to us at 95.3 FM and 1470 AM.
You can also, as always, follow us on Instagram and on Twitter. And you can donate to the Wren and Roch Foundation. And the reason that that is important to us is that we are, funding all of this ourselves, this mission. So what does a donation to the Wren and Roch Foundation do? It helps us spread awareness for our causes and for our brand. So it helps us to empower, bring awareness, educate people for the prevention of abuse. So,
right, for this generation and future generations, our big, hairy, audacious goal is to end assault, and we need your help.
Yes, so you can go onto our website, which is www.wrenandroch.com, WRENANDROCH.com, and you can click on the foundation button to donate. We appreciate any amount.
Any amount, helpful. $10, anything will help.
Yes.
So it all adds up. So thank you very much. So last week we had, for those of you that missed our show, we had Jeff Herman on, who is recognized as the nation's leading sexual assault attorney. He is the voice for victims, and he gave a lot of really important information about sexual predators, who they are, signs to look for with your children, and how you can empower them. So we felt like this week's topic was the perfect, leadway into college campus sexual assault. So last week you heard about the childhood sexual assault, and this week you're going to learn more about college campus sexual assault.
Yes. So we're going to begin by talking about sex, as we said, consensual sex, and what exactly that means, because there are a lot of things that seem to be gray. People don't necessarily understand what consensual sex is versus what rape or sexual assault is.
It seems like a no-brainer, but most people, like Karen just said, have no idea.
Right. So we're going to break it down specifically. So I heard this week someone said, you know, when it comes to sex, if you don't get an enthusiastic yes, which sounds kind of funny.
Yes.
like you're high-fiving after you ask. If you don't get an enthusiastic yes, it's not a yes. So don't misunderstand silence for a yes, or just, you know, if someone is drunk, that doesn't mean yes either. It just
Someone's
means
passed
that they're
out
drunk.
and doesn't remember, that's not yes either.
Right. That's not even sort of yes.
No.
So on
That's
that
rape.
note, right, exactly. That is rape. And we'll talk about that too. But let's talk about Consent T. Tell
Yes.
them about the Consent T video.
So you can go on our website. We have a whole list of videos. Like Karen said, it's wrenandroch.com, but you can also go to YouTube. There is the clean version, and then the not clean version says the F word. So,
Right.
But what it does is it talks about, it's the analogy between offering someone a cup of tea and consensual sex. So if I make you a cup of tea, I say, would you like a cup of tea? Give me that exciting.
Thank you,
yes,
darling.
Yes, I would love a cup of tea. Okay, great. Then you know what? I'm going to make you a cup of tea, and we're going to have tea.
Right.
If I ask if you'd like a cup of tea and you say no, I don't make you a cup of tea.
Right.
I just don't bring you tea. If I make a cup of tea, I bring it to you and you go, you know what? I actually decided I don't want tea.
I thought I wanted tea, but now
I changed my
I know
mind.
you already made the tea, but now I don't want tea.
Yeah, so I don't force you to drink tea. If you're passed out, do I pour tea down your throat?
I feel like that's a bad idea.
I think so too. I think someone could get hurt in that process.
Right.
So, or if
And just because someone's had your tea before doesn't mean they necessarily want your
maybe
tea
they
again.
don't like your tea.
Maybe they don't like your tea.
Maybe they just don't like it.
Anyway,
so
Consent Tea. Go look that up on YouTube.
it's very basic, and we really find that it spans generations. So young boys can understand it, older men,
Preteens,
and
yes.
girls. It's not just for boys to watch this. Girls need to watch it as well. I mean, I have two boys. One's a teenager, and I've made him watch it and his friends. And I just want to empower him, and I want to show him what you need to do and what you should not be doing.
Right. It makes sense for boys, but it also, the idea is to, like you said, empower girls. Oh, we have a comment. Hi, Stephanie.
Hi, Stephanie.
One of our brand ambassadors. Anyway, I lost my train of thought. Empower girls, yes. So, you know, back in the day, and even now, actually, a lot of girls didn't feel comfortable saying no because they don't want to be a disappointment. If they've gone out on a date with someone, or they've already been making out with someone,
Right.
or they've been drinking, they feel like, you know, maybe they're not in control of themselves or of their situation. So they almost feel like they have to give in, or they're too afraid to say no. They can't stand up for themselves. So our point with doing this show is to say to young girls, it is cool to say no. You are in charge of yourselves. You know, you can stand up for yourself.
Right. Like at some point it became cool to say no to drugs. So why aren't we saying no to sex if you don't want to have it? I mean, if you
Right.
want to have consensual sex and it is consensual,
Go
have
for
at
it. Have
you
tea
know?
and have sex. Have fun.
Have it all. But if it's not consensual, it's rape. And that's really what we're trying to bring that message home to girls and to guys.
Right. And this is pretty graphic, but I do want to say, you know, everyone thinks of rape specifically just as being sex, but it's actually penetration. That's what you really need to know, boys specifically.
Right. It can be any
I'll leave it at
kind
that for
of
the moment, but
penetration.
that's what you need to know. So let's talk about the survey of girls.
Yes. So there was a survey that went out to some high school students, and it was a questionnaire. And one of the questions was, have you ever been raped? And the answer was no for most of these girls. The other question was, have you ever been forced to do a sexual act against your will? And a lot of them said yes. So it just goes to show that a lot of these girls don't even understand the definition of rape. So they've been forced to do things that they haven't wanted to. That's considered rape if there's penetration.
Right. So on that note, as we said, on Monday morning, we received a call from
I don't know, but we have a
young-
first-time watcher and listener, but I don't know who it's
hi,
from.
it's Melissa.
Oh, Melissa. There you go.
Melissa.
Yay. Hi, Melissa.
So we got a call on Monday morning, and this is from someone that we know. And she called and said, I didn't know who else to call. I haven't told anyone else but my best friend, but I knew that you guys would know what to do. I got raped on Friday night. I went out drinking with some friends, and there was a guy who was there. You know, they were flirting, and he asked her to go home with him, and she said no, she didn't want to. But she had been drinking quite a bit. He was buying a lot of drinks for her, and she was definitely intoxicated. So he ended up taking her out behind the club that they were in, and he raped her by the dumpster. So I promised I wouldn't cry.
No, you're not going to
during
cry.
this. I'm not going to cry, because the thing that's very frustrating is that when she called us, she was telling us all the reasons why it was her fault. And we said to her, if one of your friends were to call you and to tell you exactly what you're telling us, would you tell her that it was her fault? Or would you tell her that you believe her and that it was not her fault? And the answer was absolutely not. I would not tell her it was her fault. So we said, well, treat yourself the way you would treat your friends, which is with kindness, and believe what you're saying
right.
yourself, you know, because what happened to you is rape. It wasn't consensual. It wasn't something that you wanted, even if you were drunk.
So, you know, she called Wren. You know, we advised...
We gave her the hotline information.
Exactly. And Wren is the Rape and Incest National Network. And
Rape and Abuse.
And
Incest National Network. It's a mouthful.
But they guided her through every step of the way from beginning to end. And she ended up calling us and saying, wow, you know, considering what I just went through, that experience on the other end was really amazing. It was so helpful. And
they
even
provided counseling and, again, like walked her through every step with the examination. And she just said it was very comforting and the best thing that could have happened so that her healing could really begin that day, as opposed to blaming herself, you know,
exactly
for 10 years the way that we did, you know, so
and it's a journey. I mean, the thing that, especially for young boys, we want them to understand, you know, I mean, you have to know the science. If a girl does not say yes, it's no. And it may be 5 minutes of pleasure for you, but for that girl that you're doing that to, she's going to remember what you look like, what you were wearing, her surroundings. And, you know, for some of us, you're in that moment, like this girl, she said she froze, and she's a strong, independent girl. And she's like, I froze.
And she said she remembered every detail of that experience, you know, not necessarily what happened before or after, but she remembered every moment of that experience.
Exactly.
And sadly, she will for a very long time.
Because those of us, I mean, we're college campus rape survivors. And for those of us that have experienced that, you were paying dues to a club that you never wanted to be a member of. So, hi, we're all, you know, in this together.
Right.
So on that note, we're going to take a quick commercial break, but please, we were anxious to hear your calls. Thank you so much. We'll be back shortly.
Shannon Specialty Floors is the source for dependable, durable, and beautiful commercial resilient flooring with outstanding, high-quality product lines matched only by our uncompromising service. Our expert sales representatives work in partnership with you, delivering insights, enthusiasm, and collaboration to help you meet deadlines and exceed expectations. Since 1921, it's been our promise. When your reputation is on the line, we deliver for you. Contact ShannonSpecialtyFloors.com for more information.
Break time is over.
Welcome back to the show. Hi, welcome back. I understand we have a caller on the line. I believe it's Ellen.
Yes. Hi.
Hi, Ellen. How are you?
Hi, doing fine. How are you?
Great. Thank you for listening. So do you have a question, a prevention tip, anything for our listeners this evening?
Yes, I do.
So go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and your company and your tip.
Yes. Okay. My company's Empower the Girls, and we do we're involved with high school and college age girls on safety, prevention, awareness, and education, and also teach self-defense.
Yay!
So I was listening tonight, and you brought up those stories, especially that one touched me very deeply. And one of the things that piqued for me, and one of the tips I'd like to bring to you, when she talked about how she froze and didn't know what to do.
Right.
She was frozen. And one of the most important things that we teach, in the training, and one of the things I'd love to talk about is, being prepared and having a plan so you can automatically respond and you'll know what to do in a situation that you're not taken off guard.
Right. It becomes more instinctual.
Like a muscle memory.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, exactly. So planning, as I'm an athlete, okay, and I prepare physically and mentally, and preventing a sexual assault, especially for high school, college-age girls, I think is very similar. You need to have a plan, and you need to listen to your gut feeling.
Definitely.
And you need to give yourself permission to act when you need to. And that all needs to be done ahead of time. You decide that you can act. You have the permission. And I think oftentimes is you freeze because, one, think of your brain as a computer, right?
Right.
There's nothing in there. You open up the folder, oh my God, this situation is happening. What do I do?
Exactly. You can't even react fast enough. Your body, it's like trying to step on the brake when an accident's about to happen. You need to do it, but you can't get to it fast enough. So,
yeah. Oh gosh, that's a whole nother discussion. That's reactionary time and how important space is.
Right. And just
having a plan is absolutely very important. If you find yourself in a risky situation, you need to know what you're going to do. You're going to see how you respond. Whether you're going to be in a calm and control. You're in control.
Absolutely.
Right. And then consider your options. What can you do? Can you get to safety? How safe would it be for you to resist?
Exactly.
And
that's a great advice. Ellen, what is your website so that listeners can go on and find out more information about Empower the Girls?
Sure. It's called, it's empowerthegirls.net.
Great.
Empowerthegirls.net. So check Ellen out on her website.
We appreciate the call, and we look forward to chatting with you later, Ellen.
Great. Thanks, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Have
Ellen.
a great night.
All right. Thanks for all you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you, too. We appreciate it.
Okay.
So Ellen has a great program, and I think we're actually going to be teaming up with her to do some empowerment, awareness, prevention. Same with Trees of Life, or Trees of Hope. I'm sorry, wrong name.
It's a trifecta of fabulousness.
Yes.
Of
so
empowerment.
Awareness, prevention, empowerment, and what's the word again that I'm looking for?
I don't know.
Being able to fight back.
Self-defense.
Self-defense.
There
I don't
you
know
go.
why I keep blanking out on that word.
All right, we have Dan is watching right now.
Hello, Dan.
So exciting.
Okay, I just want to say really quickly, just to wrap up the college call that we got earlier this week. This is actually the third call that we've received this summer alone from college girls who this has happened to. And we want to talk about what people should say if a friend or a family member comes to them to say that they've been sexually assaulted. And just
know that 4 to 96% of rape claims are true. Okay,
right. So
just
4 to
know
6% are false claims. I mean, that's most of the time people are telling the truth. You only hear about the crazy stories that, and then everyone jumps on the bandwagon thinking that it's false. But anyway, with all three of these cases, the reaction that these girls all got from their friends, the very first thing out of their mouth was, well, were you drinking? And then the second thing was, well, what were you wearing? And it's like, it doesn't matter if someone is completely annihilated, walking down the street
in a bathing
naked,
suit, whatever.
It still doesn't give anyone the right to lay a hand on them. So I just want to make that very clear. And we want to talk about what you can say to a victim or to a survivor when they come to you.
Exactly. So there's actually a public service announcement for those of you that are familiar with basketball. Isaiah Thomas's son, Zeke, he did a PSA back in April. He is a Black gay man, and he was raped. And he came out and talked about his story and how he got drugged and raped. And the next day the guy was like, hey, we should hang out again. That was fun. horrible. This doesn't just happen to girls. It happens to guys. The LGBTQ community is really like getting attacked right now as well because they don't feel like they have the resources.
Right. And people don't understand that if you're a gay girl, you can get raped.
Right.
And same thing with a gay man. I mean, it happens to both.
It does. So he did this great PSA, and, he didn't talk about his experience in the PSA, but he just talked about if someone comes to you who's been a victim of sexual assault, the things that you should say to them, like, thank you for sharing your story. We feel like I believe you is the first and foremost important thing that you should say to someone. I believe you.
Yeah, I mean, personally, having gone through that ourselves,
right.
I mean, that's the number one thing, in our opinion, that you can say just right off the bat.
Exactly.
And then also offer advice, like we said before, Wren, it's RAINN.org is their website. They are an amazing resource. They talk about what to do if you're a childhood sexual assault survivor or if you've been raped. They give you steps to follow.
In your local
community. They give you
community.
great advice. Right. They give you a local place to go, that is safe and is private. No one has to know about it. But it's a really amazing organization.
And the thing for us that's so frustrating is, we feel like kids need to be hearing this information. I mean, really as early as middle school, although in the public schools, they're not going to let us come in and talk about sexual assault.
Right. People think it's too early.
They think
or
it's too early. But by the time your child goes off to college and it's freshman orientation, it's too late. They're out on their own. There's drinking usually involved.
Right.
And we have to empower these girls, and we have to show the boys, a lot of them that don't even know what rape is. They have no idea, which is why it has to start with the boys. And it really begins with the parents. The parents, it's on you to educate your kids.
Right. The other thing that we want to say is, for some strange reason, I don't know why this is, but if a girl gets drunk and she gets raped, everyone blames her. Well, I mean, she was drunk. She should have known better.
She should have known better. Wow.
Right.
Wow.
But then the drunk boy who rapes the girl, well, he didn't know better.
He did know better. He was drinking. She was flirting.
Right.
I mean, no,
so we
that's not acceptable.
That. I mean, the responsibility lies with the person who's doing it to the innocent victim. So anyway, we just want to clarify that. And really, I mean, victim blaming, things like, what were you wearing? It's just not appropriate.
No.
And it's not.
It's 2017.
Healthy or helpful at all. So the other thing, when we talk about going to schools, when parents are looking for schools, colleges to send their children to, someone gave advice and said they really need to be calling not the schools to find out what the chances are of their child getting sexually assaulted, what are the statistics, but they need to call the local police department to find true facts, because a lot of times the schools, even now in 2017, are still hiding those facts or trying to cover it up. And on that note, actually, we've seen this movie called The Hunting Ground. It's a documentary, and it talks all about all of the national cover-ups from all of these huge, very famous and prominent schools where they've covered up sexual assault for years.
And why they do it? Well, because they don't want to hurt admissions, because they have a huge alumni backing, because they're big with athletics, their football program. So if the school looks rosy and fabulous, then everybody's going to want to go there. But as a parent, like Karen was saying, you can call the local police department. They can tell you how many rapes are reported. But again, like ours went unreported. So there's still, even today,
93% go unreported.
You really don't have a clear, grasp of how many are being reported. But we don't want parents to be afraid. We want to empower.
The point of this is not to freak out.
Right. I mean, statistics are 1 in 5 girls and 1 in 16 boys will be sexually assaulted their freshman or sophomore year of college. How do we prevent that?
Right. And, for the students, it's a matter of not thinking, well, that's not going to happen to me. Because what I can tell you is I didn't think that was going to happen to me. That's for sure.
Right.
And I'm sure you didn't either.
No.
And the call that we got this week, she said exactly that. I would have never thought. She's like, that's great what you guys are doing, but I didn't think that would happen to me. I'm strong. I'm a fighter. I can stand up for myself. I can take care of myself. And it happened to me too. So...
And it's like what Ellen just said when she called in, that reaction when you're being frozen. there's 3 reactions. It's fight, flight, or freeze. And freeze is really the most common one because you just shut down. You feel like you're paralyzed. I mean, for my personal situation, I was able to fight, but that's not the norm.
Right. In my personal situation, I froze.
Right.
And if you knew the two of us personally, you know it's pretty opposite in real life.
It
you
is.
know? Because I'm a fighter too, but I froze. And what we've found out is that, that's just one of the ways that your body reacts to trauma. You just kind of freeze. So that, like Ellen was saying, if you have a plan of attack, literally, already in the back of your mind, our hope is that instinctually that will come out and you'll just automatically protect yourself, as opposed to freezing and just freaking out and not having a game plan. So really quickly, let's, I just want to say Title IX actually provides safety measures for every student to have a safe
Educational
experience. Right. So a lot of attorneys, sadly, specialize in making sure that students' Title IX rights are protected. So there are things that you can do if something has happened to you. Again, you can check out our website or Wren's website. Baylor, do you want to talk about that quickly?
I mean, there's something that just came out on ESPN, I think a couple days ago. Everyone thought that Baylor was doing a great job with, reacting to the sexual assault cases, but really they weren't. There's a book that just came out. It's Convicted or Vindictive or something like, I'm sorry, I don't remember the name of it, but it looks like it has some really great information. We should get it. We should read it so that we are knowledgeable about what's going on. But again, it just goes to show that these colleges are still covering, these issues up.
Right. So should we talk about who we have coming on our show next week?
Sure. Go ahead.
Lockie.
Yes, we're super excited to have Lockie on our show next week. In fact, if you've gone to our Facebook page, you can see the information that we posted about her a couple weeks ago. And her post, we had the most reactions to her post since we started Wren and Roch. So that was huge. We're super excited to talk about her and her, sexual abuse situation. She was in childhood prostitution because of what her father did, and then she witnessed or had to clean up the mess from her mother's murder. So this woman has been through a lot. So we're very excited to talk to her next week.
She's an empowered survivor.
Yes,
for sure.
Very, very empowered.
She's amazing.
Yes.
And then also coming up, the second week of September, we have the United Nations.
I know. That's going to be here before we know it.
Yes.
It's on September 14th. So we'll be in the room with, all the movers and shakers in the media world. And it will give us the opportunity to talk about Wren and Roch and what we're doing and our foundation and, gender equality and the empowerment of women and girls.
Which is Sustainable Development Goal number 5.
Yes.
Which is 5 of 15 that the United Nations put together in 2015. But anyway, we'll talk about that more when the time comes.
Exactly.
So we want to thank all of you for watching. Once again, we're so grateful for your support. And
be safe, have fun, and talk to your kids. It's important information here.
Look forward to seeing you again soon.
Have a great evening. Bye.
Thank you for joining us for today's show.
Please join us at the same time next week for your weekly dose of entertainment, inspiration, and empowerment.
We'll see you next week.